Are you new to off-roading and looking for some trails to go explore? Or are you a seasoned wheeling veteran who may be just looking for some new resources so you can go find a new trail to venture out on that you haven't seen before? Well, regardless of your experience level, in this video, I'm going to share with you some tools and resources that I've been using that I think are going to be very valuable in helping you venture off onto your next trail adventure. Stay tuned. Welcome to TrailRecon. I'm Brad, and I have been hiking, mountain biking, riding ATVs, and of course off-road vehicles for as long as I can remember. And one of the biggest challenges has always been finding new places to go explore, and specifically those cool trail destinations. And so today in this video, I've got 10 resources that I utilize that I'm going to share with you when I go in search of a new trail. I think you're going to find it very helpful because I've been getting a lot of questions from folks like you that live here in the US and all over the world about how to find some cool trails to go explore, and I think these resources are going to be very helpful for you. Some of them are pretty common sense, some of them will be new to you. Now, before we do that though, I just got to say something that's very, very important, and you've heard me say it here on the channel before, and that is please travel the trails responsibly. It's kind of become my mantra over the years, but it's really important to make sure that we're not tearing up the trails, we're not out here doing donuts, we're staying on designated paths, and we're packing out what we pack in and leaving it better than we found it, because we need to keep these trails open for generations to come. It's so important. All right, thanks for bearing with that quick public service announcement. Now, for the first couple resources, we need to sit down at my computer, so let's head over to the house. All right, we are in my office where I do a ton of video editing. I spent a lot of hours here going through video, and I'm actually moving. I won't be here much longer. We're leaving here in about a week and a half. But what I wanted to do was take a few minutes and go on the computer and show you some good resources for finding trails. And the first one we're going to do is just some general Google search. And I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on there. But I think there's a couple things that I can help with, using search keywords that will help you find trails in your area. And then we'll dive into some other online resources that I think will be super helpful. So let's do a couple searches. So typically what folks will do when they go on Google is do something like off-road trails in whatever city or state they're in. So if we just did off-road trails in San Diego, you get a pretty good assortment of stuff. I mean, there's a lot in San Diego. Hey, look, there's some TrailRecon videos. But let's just go up to this first one, which is the Corral Canyon OHV area, and see where that takes us. So we dive deep into Google a little more, but not a lot of information. But if we click on the website and see where that takes us, oh, perfect. Okay, so this took us to the United States Department of Agricultural Forest Service, and they do a really good job of providing information about trails and camping and hiking and fishing that are in their parks. And so this is the Cleveland National Forest, and if we click over here, we're going to get a little map. And so they're really good at providing maps and talk about, if the trail is easy, difficult, or hard. There's usually pretty good information, but you're going to see that there's not like GPS coordinates and a lot of specs about, trail obstacles and that kind of stuff. But you could go venture out here. So this is a great website to check out. Now let's just go back to Google and let's do something that I like to do, which is checking out BLM areas, and we'll just do Barstow. So Bureau of Land Management in Barstow, and that's going to take us to, right, so check this out. So there's a ton of recreation areas here in this region, and if we go to, let's go to the Johnson Valley one, which is where they do King of the Hammers every year. So I know there's a ton of good trails and places to go out there. And give you a little bit of information about the area. You know that there's plenty of space usually in a place like this just to go explore, and usually a lot of restrictions. BLM are usually pretty open. Usually you can go out there and you can do some hunting, fishing, and all that kind of stuff. But you can go onto this little map and zoom in. You can just see there's a whole network of trails out here, and then you can kind of figure out where you want to go. Again, not a lot of detail, but it is a good resource. BLM is a good place to go to find trails. All right, now let's do OHV in Sedona, Arizona, and see what we get. Okay, so again, there's a lot of trails in Arizona, and I love some of the trails in Sedona. Let's check out one of my favorite, which is Broken Arrow, and again to the Google. Let's see what website it takes us to. Okay, so this is the U.S. Forest Service website. this isn't giving us a lot of information about the Broken Arrow Trail, so that was kind of disappointing. And that's kind of the deal with searching on Google. Sometimes it's hit or miss, right? Sometimes you don't know where it's going to take you and how much information there's going to be. Let's check out this alltrails.com website for the Broken Arrow Trail. So I've been to this website before, and it seems like it has some good information. So there's, let's see, where's Broken Arrow? There's Schnibbly Hill, there's Broken Arrow. So Broken Arrow is right there. And if I want more information about Broken Arrow, unfortunately, this is a paid website. So I've got to pay to download the map or pay to download the GPX files. And there's free websites out there. So you know what? I'm not going to pay. Okay, so that's basically just some Google, using those BLM, OHV, and National Forest ones. But now let's go take a look at some really helpful websites. Okay, hands down, my favorite website to find trails is trailsoffroad.com. These guys have a great network of trails, a ton of information. I have no affiliation with them, but let me just show you here. Let's just type in one of my trails that I probably will never ever do again, which is Black Bear Pass in Colorado. I've done it once and that was enough for me. But if you type in a trail, or you can actually go to their map and just surf around, you get such a wealth of information. You can see here that they rate the trails, they tell you how long they are, elevation, about how long it will take you, but they give you the whole file here, which you can download as a GPX, which is just like a global positioning file, which you can upload into a whole assortment of different apps. And they've got waypoints along the way. And what's really nice is you go down here and somebody has taken something and just written it up about the trail. There's usually a video, and then you scroll down here, and each one of those waypoints, there's usually a little bit of information about it. So you can go here to go to, you know, number 6 waypoint. I didn't mean to do that. Go all the way down here to number 6, and it's a scenic waypoint. It just tells you a little bit. The trail narrows at the beginning and cut a path, and then there's pictures. I'm telling you, guys, I spent a lot of time just surfing around Trails Off-Road. These guys do a great job, and the great thing is there's no fee. I'm pretty sure there's not. I don't think I ever remember paying for anything. I think I signed up and, you know, gave them my email. But it's all free. And look at all these trails that are available. I mean, you can just click on these for days and days. A great website, definitely a good resource. One of the best online, I think. The other one is, yeah, I know we're back to Google, but that's Google Maps. And I find a lot of trails just by going on Google Maps and looking at, you know, some of these green areas, which means it's a park or something like that, and just going down here and being like, oh, I wonder where this road goes. And so just kind of finding things like, oh, hey, look, there's a trail that goes all the way up in here and goes up in there. So this trail here is actually called Black Mountain Trail. And it's actually a trail I found a couple of years ago, and I spent a ton of time out there. In fact, the video that I filmed this morning was on that trail. And the only way I found that was just by kind of surfing around here on Google Maps. So look, trailsoffroad.com and Google Maps. Great resources, guys, for finding trails. All right, I don't want to spend too much time in the office because we got a lot more to talk about, but there's 3 other websites that I think are very helpful. Obviously, YouTube is a great resource. It's actually the number 2 search engine in the world, so you can search all kinds of trails, and you never know what you're going to get, though, on YouTube. I mean, most of the time, let's face it, folks just throw a GoPro on their windshield and they film the trail and then they just post that. And, well, that can be informative. Sometimes it's not very entertaining, and you don't usually get a whole lot of details about, you know, GPS coordinates and offshoots and scenic stuff. But YouTube is a good resource. TrailRecon has some pretty good trail videos. You may want to go check those out. Okay, also forums. Now, I'm not a big forum guy, but you can find a lot of good information about trails in your area by going to some forums. And so there's a lot of forums that are, I don't know, I want to say they're kind of toxic, but they're not managed well. And so sometimes the trolls get in there. And so that's why I usually kind of avoid them a little bit. But there are a couple good ones. I will say Overland Bound is pretty good. You can go out there and they've got a community of people. You can meet them and talk to people in your area and then get to know them and say, hey, what trails are good to go check out? Another one is one that I've been on for a long time. I don't go on there all the time, but it's the JK forum. It's a Jeep forum, and they actually have sections that are all worldwide that you can click on, and then you can talk to people in your area. People usually post information about trails in your area. It's actually very helpful. I like that forum. I met some good people on there. And look, if you're a Toyota guy, don't be ashamed to go to a Jeep forum to look for some trails, because you might find some good spots. So, okay. enough on the computer. Let's go talk about some other ways to find trails. I almost forgot, before we head out of the office, there's one more thing that I want to talk about, and that is 2 apps that I think you will love if you're not already using them. One is the Gaia app, and that's G-A-I-A. I've been using this for a long time. You guys will see it in my Jeep when I'm out on the trail, and it is a great resource for not only tracking your routes and giving you information about where you're at, but you can also use some of the map overlays that they have to find new trails. And I do it all the time. I'll break out my iPad when I'm out there and I'll be like, oh, there's this nice little offshoot. Let's go explore that. It's a really great app. And the other app that I really like is the Magellan TRX app. It's also a very informative app. It allows folks to upload trails that they've been on, and so there are thousands and thousands of trails across the United States that people have uploaded and put information about there on. It's a really good resource. I used to have the Magellan TRX-7 in my Jeep, but I found that that thing just didn't work well for me, but I love the software on my iPad. It's really good. And both of these apps you can use on your phone, on your iPad, and on your desktop computer. They're very valuable. Okay, now let's get out of the office. I gotta tell you guys, Mother Nature has been out to get me today. When I was up on that trail, those flies were so thick. Before I dive into that, these flies are freaking killing me. I just couldn't shake them. They were driving me nuts. So when I finally moved, I found another spot, and then by that time, the wind kicked in. A good old-fashioned map, and these things are still extremely valuable. And you can't record video in the wind because the auto just gets washed out. And now I'm chasing daylight, so I don't know. We may be finishing this in the garage if the sun goes down. But look, the next valuable resource that I want to talk about is one that's very obvious, but people overlook because there's so much good technology out there, and that is a good old standard map. And you can get maps at some great places, you know, Amazon, local stores, local gas stations, visitor centers, ranger stations. There's a lot of good maps out there, and I like these ones by National Geographic. They do a great job and provide a ton of detail. But the U.S. Forest Center also prints out some really good maps, and there's just a ton out there to choose from. And the important thing to remember is if you're going to use a map, bring it with you and bring a compass and understand a little bit about how to navigate. You need to have some navigation skills, but the topography that you're going to find on the map, all the little details, the places to go, the little nooks that maybe you wouldn't see on some of those GPX files, you're going to find in a map. And I love maps. Sometimes I will just open these up and just kind of read them for a while. In fact, I like maps so much, I put a vinyl map on the hood of my Jeep of the Mojave National Preserve. I'll never not know my way around that trail anymore. Maps are extremely valuable, guys. Don't discount them. One of the best resources for finding trails that I started using when I first got started off-roading is books. And we have some great trail guides that I have used over the years. And this one by Fun Treks specifically, my son and I bought right out of the box, and we started finding trails here, and we would find a trail and we'd just check it off, and we'd turn the page and we go find a trail and we would check it off, and we did that for a long time. And I love these books. Unfortunately, they don't make them for all the states in the US or worldwide. They only make them for Colorado, Moab, Utah, and Arizona, and I'll leave links down below if you want to go check this out. It's a great book. But look, there are a lot of books out there that will give you a lot of information on trails to find, and then they'll tell you a little bit about history, a little bit about, you know, some of the other routes that you could take from those trails, good resources while you're on the trail, camping sites, all that kind of stuff. Books are extremely valuable, and you can just sit there, you know, while you're in your couch and just kind of thumb through it. That's what I used to do with this Fun Treks book. I like that book, guys. I can't say that enough. One of the resources for finding great trails is one that's often overlooked, and I tell people all the time, go to the local ranger station, because when you go to the local ranger station, you're going to find out a lot of stuff that maybe everybody else doesn't know about, that's not in a book, it's not online, because the rangers are out on those trails all the time, and they can tell you the great places to go. Plus, they can tell you about trail conditions, if trails are closed. You know, sometimes trails get closed on certain times of the seasons, or if there's snow or forest fires. They're a great wealth of knowledge. I love going to the ranger station and just chatting with them, because you always leave there with a great wealth of knowledge. Definitely go check out your ranger station for finding your next trail. Well, we're losing sunlight quick, but I think I got this. The next two resources I've got for you is one, your local off-road club. Go online and search, whatever city you're in or whatever county you're in, Jeep Club or Off-Road Club or Toyota Club, or go on Facebook and search for, San Diego Jeep Club or San Diego Toyota Club, whatever. Just keep searching and then connect with those people, because when you do that, you're going to meet people that have already traveled the trails in your areas, and they are going to be such a wealth of knowledge. The best knowledge I've ever gotten has been firsthand experience from people that have already done the trail. So I encourage you to do that. Go out and meet people, and you might just get lucky and somebody will say, you know what, let me go show you this trail, and invite you along, and that's when it all begins, and that's when you start having some amazing adventures. Now, the last resource, which is not really a resource, and that is something I do all the time, and that's just get in my Jeep and go. And I head somewhere where I know there is open country and dirt roads, and I just start exploring. I'll drive down a dirt road and take a right and take a left, and maybe I'll end up in a dead end and have to turn around, but maybe I'll find some cool trail, some scenic area, someplace I didn't even know existed, and I just love doing that. Now, when I do that, I make sure that my wife knows where I am, what kind of area, just in case I get lost or stuck or whatever. But I love doing that, and I encourage you to not go get lost, but definitely go explore some of those hidden dirt roads and just go find out what's down them. Now, if you enjoyed this video today, I'm going to leave another video right here, which I think you'll also find very valuable. Please remember to always travel those trails responsibly. Thanks for watching.